Okay, so picture this in your head. A single country that has towering, snow-capped peaks, vast, scorching deserts, and lush tropical islands. Well, that country is India. And in this explainer, we're going to take a journey to figure out how all these incredible, totally contrasting landscapes fit together inside its borders.
To really get a feel for the sheer scale of this place, just listen to this. The writer M.K. Ramachandran, standing 16,000 feet up in the Himalayas, said they felt like a fortress. That image, right? A massive, powerful wall? Well, that's the perfect place for us to start our journey.
And that quote really brings us to our main question. How can one nation hold such staggering contrasts? I mean, really, how does that work? To find out, we've got to travel the subcontinent, and we're going to start right back at that fortress of mountains.
So our journey begins in the far north, with what you can only call the Great Himalayan Wall. And look, this isn't just a mountain range, it's a colossal system that literally defines the climate and the culture of everything sitting to its south.
Now, just saying the Himalayas is kind of selling it short. Geographers actually break this massive barrier into three distinct parts. You've got the Trans-Himalayas, the main Himalayan ranges themselves, and then the Eastern Highlands, which are also known as the Purvachal.
To really wrap our heads around the scale, let's look at some numbers. Horizontally, the Himalayan arc stretches for about 2,400 kilometers. That is a massive, curving wall that separates the Indian subcontinent from the rest of Asia.
And vertically, well, it's home to the highest point on the entire planet, Mount Everest, which towers at 8,848 meters. The scale in both directions is it's immense. And the Himalayas themselves, they're layered, almost like massive steps. Up at the very top, you have the Himadri, the highest range, which is the birthplace for these mighty rivers. You take a step down, and you're in the Himachal, a slightly lower range that's famous for its beautiful hill stations. And that final step down, that's the Siwaliks, the foothills, which have these broad, gentle valleys called duns.
So here's the crucial part, why this all matters. These mountains are way more than just scenery. They act like a giant climate engine. They block those freezing cold winds from Central Asia, and most importantly, they trap the moisture-filled monsoon clouds, forcing them to drop all that rain over North India. This makes them the source of water for hundreds of millions of people and a cradle for incredible biodiversity.
So what happens to all that water and all that rich soil coming down from the mountains? Well, it creates our next region. As we come down from that Great Wall, we arrive at the vast northern plains. If the Himalayas are the fortress, you can think of these plains as the garden they protect.
These plains are, and I mean this quite literally, a gift from the Himalayas. For thousands of years, rivers like the Ganga and Brahmaputra have carried down this rich, fine soil, geologists call it alluvium, and just laid it down here. This process has created this incredibly flat, super fertile expanse that is now one of the world's great breadbaskets.
And that's exactly what it's called, the granary of India. Crops like wheat, rice, sugarcane, they just flourish here and they feed a huge portion of the country's population. It's one of the most densely populated regions on Earth for that exact reason.
But here's the twist that really shows you India's diversity. The western part of these exact same plains, where rainfall is super scarce, is home to the Thar Desert. So you have extreme fertility and extreme dryness existing right next to each other in the same geographical division. It's wild.
Okay, let's travel south from those soft, fertile plains. We're about to run into a completely different world, the Peninsular Plateau. This thing is the ancient, rocky heart of the subcontinent. We're talking one of the oldest and most stable landforms on the entire planet.
And this just brilliantly illustrates the contrast. While the Himalayas are geologically young, they're still rising, the plateau is ancient and weathered down. The Himalayan rivers, they're fed by glaciers. They flow year-round. The plateau's rivers depend entirely on monsoon rains. They are two fundamentally different worlds.
And because it's so ancient, because it's made of all this hard rock, the plateau is basically a treasure chest. It's incredibly rich in minerals like iron ore, coal, and manganese. This geology is the reason the region became the industrial heartland of the country, a true storehouse of essential resources.
This table really breaks it down perfectly. Just look at the origin. Himalayan rivers come from glaciers, so they have water all year. Peninsula rivers, they depend on rain. Now check out erosion. The young, powerful Himalayan rivers are still carving out deep gorges, while the much older rivers on the plateau flow way more gently. And as you can see at the bottom, this geology dictates everything from irrigation to navigation. It truly shapes the flow of life itself.
All right, our journey now takes us to the very edges of the land. We're talking India's long coastlines and its far-flung island territories. And here again, we find just incredible diversity. You see, India doesn't just have one coast. It has two very different ones. The west coast is narrow, it's rocky, and it's got these beautiful backwaters. The east coast, on the other hand, is wider, flatter, and it's defined by these massive fertile deltas formed by rivers like the Godavari and the Krishna. And finally, we get to the islands, which, again, show a stunning contrast. Over in the Arabian Sea, you've got the Lakshadweep Islands, a beautiful archipelago built entirely by tiny little coral polyps. Then, all the way over in the Bay of Bengal, you have the Andaman and Nicobar Islands. These are actually the peaks of a submerged mountain range, and they've got dense forests and even an active volcano.
So we've journeyed from the mountains to the plains, the plateau, and the coasts. But these aren't just separate zones. Let's put it all together and see how this immense variety directly shapes the climate and the lives of over 1 billion people.
This difference in rainfall tells the whole story. The eastern highlands act like a funnel, forcing those monsoon winds up and causing them to just dump their moisture. The result? Places like Cherrapunji get some of the highest rainfall on Earth. Meanwhile, the Thar Desert lies in what we call a rain shadow. It's blocked from getting that rain, so it gets almost nothing. This extreme imbalance is a direct result of the landforms we've just been touring.
And this, right here, is the ultimate takeaway. This variety isn't just a collection of interesting facts. It is the very foundation of India's culture, its economy, and its way of life. The fertile plains provide the food, the plateau provides the minerals, the mountains provide the water, and the coasts provide the trade.
So, we'll end with this thought. We've seen how India's geography has shaped its past and its present. The real question now is, in an age of climate change and resource scarcity, what will this incredible, and sometimes challenging, diversity mean for its future?